Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. This is the tutorial on how I made this 6x6 mini album. This tutorial is different from the previous one in that it's the lay flat cover method. It's got a hinge, it's got a waterfall, and we have magnets. And also there's pocket pages. So if you're ready for something a little bit of a step up from the last mini album, well, let's get started. All right, we're going to jump right in here and make the cover. So for the cover, you'll need 2 pieces of chipboard, medium weight or heavy weight, that are 7 by 7. So 2 pieces that are 7 by 7 and 1 piece that's 7 by 2 for the spine. Now, just to let you know, in the previous video, I did have tools that I use. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. In this case, I used score tape. It's a double-sided tape. It says Suk Wang on it to adhere the chipboard to my surface. Now I am using the lay flat cover method that was designed by Tamara from Country Craft Creations. Country Craft Creations also sells these spacers. So I'm taking a 1-inch spacer and putting it at the side of my scoreboard and at the top. I'm using my scoreboard as placement. Now I'm not using the 1.5-inch spacer right now. So I'm making sure my paper is up to the top and to the side, and that my spacers are to the side and the top as well. And I'm taking my chipboard, which of course has that double-sided adhesive. I put it to the side, run it right up to the top, and then push it down. What this allows me to do is to make a perfect square. You see there's 1 inch all around the sides. The cardstock, by the way, is 9 by 9. I just added 2 inches to the size of my chipboard. So it's 7 by 7. I made it 9 by 9. I'm using this tip of the bone folder to burnish just so I can see where the edge of the chipboard is, and it helps start the process of burnishing. So again, this is the lay flat cover method. The other video showed you how I did it. I call it the old method, where you join 2 pieces of cardstock. I'm using my surface to help flatten the paper. I'm burnishing at the edges, especially, but all along the chipboard here. And then I'll turn it over and do the other 2 sides that I did not get already. And of course, this helps flatten it out against the edge of the chipboard, but it also gives me a good view of the corners, so I can see a square on each of the 4 corners. So you see those squares. I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut each of those squares off right on the score line. So just stay right in the center of the score line and cut. I'm a little nervous about going too far in, so you'll see sometimes the little pieces, the little squares will hang off by a thread, but you can just pull them off. Now, this is not perfect, because if we were to fold this down, you're going to have a little bit of overhang. You'll be able to see the, see if you see here, there's a little bump right at that fold, and then that top part would fold over on the chipboard. Now, it's no big deal. You could work it enough, but if you take a scissors, in this case, I'm taking a scissors with a long blade, but it's not necessary. And I'm putting the top blade against the chipboard with that side folded over, and I'm just going to make a slit. Now, barely anything came off in that one. Here, again, I'll take, you see how it goes down? There's just like a little elbow, and I can just shave off just ever so slightly a little piece of the cardstock. Not very much comes off. Now I'll turn it over so the chipboard's facing down and continue cutting. This one has a little bit more. It just matters how straight you cut along those score lines. Okay, I think we're good. I've gotten all 8 sides of that cardstock, and we'll throw away all those little scraps. All right, now what I like to do in this case, I'm going to use some score tape to make sure that the cardstock will adhere and we get a nice straight permanent adhesion. So I'll just go around either the outer edge or the inner edge, or some people do both. So the outer edge, meaning put it right on the chipboard or put it right on the edge of the cardstock. It's entirely up to you which method you prefer. Just try them both, see what you like. And again, like I said, some people like to do both. They like to make sure it's down permanently. I'll burnish this double-sided adhesive, the score tape, real well, and then I'll peel off the backing. That's probably the hardest part of making a cover. Not that any of it's hard. So peel off the backing on all four sides. Just make sure you don't put your arm down on it or anything. And then I'm going to take my Designer Dries Clear Glue from the Art Glitter Institute, lovingly referred to as Art Glitter Glue, but there is no glitter in this glitter glue. It's just what we call it. So I'm going to take it and go against the edge of the chipboard. This will do two things. It will help soften up the paper fibers, so it's going to fold a little easier, and it also will adhere the chipboard, the very edge of the chipboard to the paper, and give you a really good look. So I'm taking that flat edge of my bone folder and rubbing the paper right up against the edge of the chipboard. You see it'll stand up at a 90-degree angle. I don't know if you can see any of the glue coming out from where I put it along the edge of the chipboard. There's a little bit, and since I'm using white paper and white glue, it's there. So I'll burnish this down, and then I'll do the opposite side. I tend to go from just do two sides. If I have a long side, I'll do the two long sides and then the two short sides. So again, I'm adding that glue and then distributing it with my bone folder, and then I will burnish real well. Now that score tape helps keep it down while that glue holds. So again, glue along the edge, and then I zigzag it across. And I will use my bone folder to burnish and make sure the glue is distributed. And I have one more side to go. And zigzag the glue. Not only is this a very good technique for making mini albums, but it's very nice looking. It's clean looking. So I'll take the edge of my bone folder and go along the top of the chipboard just to push it down. Otherwise, it might be sort of rounded. This way it's flat against the chipboard. It's one of those details I don't think anyone notices except for me. If I don't do it, I feel like there's something undone on a mini album. All right, so there we are. We're done with that cover. Now I'm going to do the spine piece. I'll do the other cover off camera. So the spine piece we need, this is a 2-inch spine. I need 1.5 inches on each side. So instead of it being like a 4-inch, putting an inch on each side, it's a 5-inch piece of cardstock. And I want 1 inch on the top and 1 inch on the bottom. So now we have a 9 by 5 piece of cardstock. I will go ahead and peel off that score tape. I'm looking for, I have a tool in my little toolbox, a little pokey tool. We made this in a retreat for Country Craft Creations, and it is a very useful tool. So anyhow, it helps me peel off the edge of that chipboard so it's easier to peel off entirely. The reason I'll use the double-sided adhesive is because it just lies flat. It's not bubbly. You make sure it's a really good stick. All right, do you see on the left-hand side that yellow spacer? That's 1.5 inches. I have the 1-inch spacer at the top, 1.5 inches at the side. And so now, again, it gives you a nice, even look. If you don't have a spacer, you could always cut a piece of chipboard or just eyeball it. It's not the worst thing in the world if it's off by 1/8 of an inch or a small amount. Of course, it's nice to have everything more precise. Okay, I'll take my bone folder, go along the edge of the chipboard. Now don't work ahead because we're doing something a little different from the way we did a cover to do this spine piece. But I do want to burnish so I can see there will be rectangles now on all four corners as opposed to squares because of the 1.5 inches. So I'll burnish, and now you can see there's a rectangle there. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing as we did before. I'm going to use my scissors just to cut off those rectangles. What's interesting to me is there are other designers for country craft creations, and we've all learned this method from Tamara, and we all still do it differently. Some people will cut off those rectangles entirely, some will cut it from one corner to the other. You'll have to watch everyone else's tutorials on how they cover a mini album and watch them and then do what works best for you. Everybody has their own method. All right, now that the rectangles are off, I will do the same thing with my scissors and just trim the edge of my paper. Oh, first I need to burnish just so I can see the edges real clear. All right, I will grab my double-sided adhesive. I guess I'll put this down first. I'll put this on the very top and very bottom of my piece. Okay, now I'll take my scissors, put the top blade up against the side with the chipboard. We'll start with the small tab in first and just cut a little bit to see what happens. See how much comes off. The beauty of this is you can't ever go too far in because you're putting it up against the edge of the chipboard, so you can't go too far in. Now you could go at more of an angle, but even so, you're not going to have any of the chipboard showing. So now that I've got that, we're not going to do anything with the side pieces, the long ones, but the two short ones, the top and bottom, I'll peel off the score tape, add glue to the edge of the chipboard, and a little zigzag there because I don't want to cover where I've already put the tape. I'll burnish that down real well to help distribute the glue. And I'll do it for the other side as well. Okay, so now we've got the cover and the spine. I'll go ahead and do the other cover off camera. All right, so I've got my spine and I just added some score tape on. I'll put some on here. Just want it halfway in there, just in the middle to help hold everything while the glue is drying. And this is going to obviously go on the outside. What we're going to be doing is taking our cover and putting it right on here, not exactly up against here, but off by, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch. Now, what I also want to do is to add some glue here and here, but I don't want to get so close to the spine that the glue will seep out. So what I'll do is take my spacer, put it about 1/8 of an inch away from where the edge of the spine is. I'll take my glue and I'll run a bead of glue right there and then fill in around the edge of it. I'll take off, I guess I could have peeled off my backing paper first. And then, as I said, I will take this and put it about 1/16 of an inch, somewhere between 1/16 and 1/8 of an inch away. I guess it's 1/8 of an inch now. But I'm using my scoreboard to make sure it's lined up straight. Then I'll burnish here and I'll turn this over and burnish there as well. Now I'm going to turn this over. I'll peel off the backing this time first and do the same with the other side. So I'll take my tool, run a bead of glue, fill in the areas, and then take my, so of course we don't have as much room here because we've already got the other cover on, but I still have enough room that I can get a good straight line on there. Oops, I always put one upside down. It wouldn't be me if I didn't. I mean, it doesn't matter ultimately. All right, and I'm going to just burnish a little bit. All right, we've got that on. The glue is drying. Now I have a piece that is 5 inches by, so this is 7 inches. I cut this almost 7. It's just a little bit less than 7, like 1/32 of an inch less than 7 inches. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it here. And the reason we're going to do that is because this is on and it looks beautiful, but it is a little flimsy. So this will help stabilize it. And as well, it puts a nice base where our hinge is going to be. So I am just going to use glue. I'm going to go around the perimeter and zigzag glue. Glue around here too. All right, I don't want to take too long because I don't want the glue to dry that I'm already putting on there. I'll line this up with the bottom of the hinge and make sure it's straight up and down, and then burnish. All right, then I'm going to take this part of my bone folder and find where the edge of the spine is and run this back and forth several times, maybe 15, 20, 25. And every time I do, I'm moving this up a little bit more. I don't want to dig in so I make a hole, but I do want to help stretch the paper so it does fill in that gap where the spine is. And then I'll do it for the other side. Just moving the cover up just slightly. All right, so that is good, and I'm going to let this dry while I work on the hinge. So don't get scared when we're talking about a hinge. The hinge is what we use to put the pages in. A hinge will zigzag and have a part that goes up, and the pages will be a tube and it will fit into that hinge. You'll understand better once I do it. So we're going to be using the same paper, and I want this to be a little bit smaller than what the page is. The page is going to be 6 inches, so I want this to be 5 15/16, just ever so much smaller. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to cut this down to 10 inches. So I need this for later. And then out of this 10-inch piece of paper, I'm going to cut 5 15/16. We, of course, we'll be using the rest of it. So I'm going to put that on my scoreboard, and I'm going to get a tool. Now you could use your bone folder. I prefer not to. Let me put the top of my glue while I'm thinking of it. I also have this thing. This is, I put my glue in here. I've got a little magnet here that I put my pin on. So when I'm using my glue, I'll put the pin in there. When I'm not using it, the pin is in it. and it's upside down so the glue runs to the bottom. Just something is on my, it's on my channel. If you want to know how to make it, ask me and I'll try to remember to link it. All right, let's start scoring to make the hinge. The hinges are going to consist of 2 half-inch pieces, and then a gusset, the space between the hinge, will be 3/8. If you don't want to follow the measurements, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, score, 1, 2, 3, 4, score, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. But I'm going to give you the measurements. So if you need to slow this down and follow along with me. 2, 2.5, 3, 3 3/8, 3 7/8, 4 3/8, 4 3/4, 5 1/4, 5 3/4, 6 1/8, 6 5/8, and 7 1/8. So I have a hinge, a set of hinges, a gusset, hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset, hinge. So now what we're going to do is turn this over, and we're going to fold it in between each of those half-inch pieces. So in the center of the half-inch piece. So we'll have a score and then the score that you're going to fold on. So we'll fold that. I'm folding it away from me. I'm making sure everything is lined up. And then I will burnish with my bone folder. And then we'll skip 1, 2, and then fold at the third line. It's in between the next set of half-inch pieces. And then skip, skip, fold, making sure that this is even. See, that wasn't perfect. Side to side, and skip, skip, fold. So now when we turn it, the bumpy side's facing down, you can see there are 4, I would not call them mountains at this point. They're just little peaks. So what we're going to do is I like to use my thumb and my forefingers and pull this towards me. If you hold down, we're going to pull that first set of hinges so it will form a mountain. If you hold down on the next set, it can't go any further, and this will come up naturally, and we will get this peak. So I will fold at that peak, just use my finger and thumbs to burnish it, and then we've got that little zigzag. Then I'll hold that down, pull the next set towards me, and there will be another one. Do it again. Now we don't have any glue. We're just trying to get the paper to find where those hinges are, each set of half-inch hinges. So now I'll pull them all so they're all tight. The only thing that's on the table is the bottom side of the 3/8 of an inch gusset. And then I will fold them all towards me and take my bone folder and burnish. And then I will fold them all away from me and take my bone folder and burnish. And then I'll just fold them all so they're straight up and down, and then show you that's what it looks like. Still, we have no glue, but let's remedy that. I'm going to take my glue, I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to pull this one set of hinges because that paper really is trained now. It really wants to, those hinges want to stick together. We're gonna let them stick together permanently. So I'm going to take my glue, and I'm not going to go right up against the edge because I don't want it to seep out. So I'll stay about 1/4 of an inch away, and on just one of the hinges, I'm doing the one closest to me, I'm going to, and see, this is why I put the pin in so it would come out when I want it to. Kind of zigzag And I'm staying a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch away, but I want to remedy that. I'm going to run a bead of glue closer to the edge. I went too close there than I wanted to, but it's no big deal. Then I'm going to turn this upside down, pinch these together, top to bottom. I'm not using my fingernails really, because I don't need to. And then I'll fold. And so now this will want to stick together because it's got glue on it. And then we'll do that with the next one. So I'll sort of spread it apart a little bit, take the glue, zigzag it, and then run a bead at the bottom, use my surface, pinch that, and that wants to stick together. Good. Do the next one. Pinch that together. Now, if you get glue on your fingers, make sure you clean it off. I've gotten so I know not to go too close to the edge. I went too close to the edge right there. And it doesn't seep out. Okay. And then what I want to do is take my bone folder after I put the pin in my glue and put it in my little glue stand. And then I'll pull these all towards me and burnish to help distribute the glue and get a good stick on those hinges. And then I'll push them away from me and do the same thing. And then I will have them all stand up. I mean, you can work it if you want to, but here you can see, now this one didn't come out that great, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about it when we put it down. And why didn't it come out that great? There we go. So we'll let that dry for a minute and then we'll put it in the book. So I'm going to grab the book. And again, I'll burnish this. Make sure it's got some movement to it. And then I will add my hinge. Now I'm going to eyeball it first. So we've got a lot of room here. It's a 7-inch piece of cardstock, so you have 7 inches here. So you've got a good 1/2 inch on each side. Now, I know that I'm going to have 2 top loading pockets. We'll have something sticking out. And I don't like things sticking out of the cover of my book. I'm just odd that way. I just don't like it. So I'm going to sort of justify it down a little bit. I don't want it to go right up to the bottom, but I've got a whole inch here. So I'll probably go about 3/8 of an inch on the bottom and a 1/4 of an inch and 3/4 at the top, something like that. Just so I have more room at the top than I do at the bottom. And then I want to make sure it's centered side to side. So I know I'll have, it looks about 3/8 of an inch here. And then there will be 3/8 of an inch there. Now, it doesn't have to be exact. You do want to make sure that the bottom is parallel with the bottom of the spine. If you had it turned at an angle, your pages are going to be at an angle. So even if it's a very slight angle, so do your best to get it straight. Now to put this down, I'm going to use a reasonable amount of glue because this is the juice that holds it all together. I'm going to take a bead of glue and go in that channel between each of those hinges. And I'm going to zigzag on the underside of the gussets. And that's all I'm going to do for now. I'll add glue again later. So I've already eyeballed where I want it to go. If you wanted to, you could draw a pencil line, but then you have to deal with erasing that pencil line, and you might have glue on it and it won't work. All right, so I placed it down, so the glue is down. I'm going to take my finger and start in the center one and go from the top to the middle, from the bottom to the middle. That'll help distribute the glue. Then I'm going to take one of the hinges. I'll take the one to the left of the center and pull that down, and you'll feel that the whole set moves a little bit to the right. And then I'll burnish that with my finger. And then I'll go to the one to the right of the center and go back and forth a little bit. Then I'll straighten that one up and then go to the one on the far left. And then I'll straighten that one up and go to the one on the far right. And then I'm going to push them all but one way and burnish. Push them all another way and burnish. Now, I don't have any glue here, so you still can lift the wings, I call them. But we will remedy that. I'm going to burnish a little bit and then move them. Okay, so now I'll lift up one side, add glue right next to the bottom. I mean, there was some there already. And then around the perimeter of this wing piece and zigzag. And then I'll push that down, move the glue, and then burnish it real well. So I'll take my bone folder and again start at the top, go to the middle, start at the bottom, go up, and then make sure that's distributed. Now I need to find that area where the spine is again. But I'm not worried so much about it, because once it's dry, then we'll find that spine piece. Going to move all these over to the other side. It's upside down now. I'll lift this piece up, add some glue, go around the perimeter, zigzag, and then burnish that in. Find my spine. Now I don't want to open and close the book too much because you'll notice there might be a little gap. So I'm just going to let this dry for right now and let everything just dry and seal and just be ready. Now, one thing I want to do before I go any further, especially because I have these upside down, actually I'll grab a marker. I am going to make an arrow so I remember which way is the top of the page. It's not that important if you've got this centered perfectly, but I have more room at the top. So I wanted to make sure I did that. I have been known to put in 2 or 3 pages and then find they're upside down, and it's a problem. So anyhow, let's put this aside and then let's start making the pages. All right, let's talk about the pages. There's going to be 4 pages. They're going to be 6 by 6. 2 are going to be top loading pages, meaning we'll have an element in the top. Well, it'll be a pocket page and there'll be something that can come out of the page from the top. 2 will be side loading, meaning there will be something that'll come out from the side. We're going to take one piece of 12 by 12 paper and we're going to cut that in half at 6 inches. So we have 2 6 by 12 pieces of paper. What I'm going to do is put that in the scoreboard and score both of those at 6 inches. Now remember that one piece we cut down the piece to get a 10-inch by almost 6, 5 and 15/16 or 5 and 7/8, whatever it was. This is the piece that came from that. I'm going to cut this at 6 inches. And then I am going to score this at 1/2 inch and at 1 1/2. And then I'm going to cut this in half at the 1-inch line. I'm going to bring in my smaller trimmer. So I have two 1-inch by 6-inch pieces with a score line in the middle. I'm going to fold and burnish on that score line. I'm also going to take my scissors. I'm going to miter the corners. So to do that, I'm going to go from that folded part and cut to the open part. Just a little bit. And then I am going to fold and burnish on our 6-inch by 12-inch pieces. So we have two folded pieces. Now these are going to be our side loading pockets, but I want it closed at the top, and that's what these are for. So what I'm going to do is glue. I glue to one side, and I'm going to put that right up against the top, right up against the top, and I'll burnish. And then I'll add glue here. And fold this down and burnish. Now it doesn't matter whether you have the folded edge at the top or the or this edge that we made into a pocket page, but there is our tube that's going to go in the hinge. So let's do that with the other piece. So I'll open this up, add glue onto one of the sides, put the folded edge at the top, and line it up with the top of the paper, burnish it, add glue to the rest, fold this, and burnish. Okay, so let's put these aside to use later. Let's grab another piece and we'll also grab our scoreboard. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to score 6 inches down the whole length of the paper. Then I'm going to rotate it so the score is going lengthwise, and I am going to score it again at 6 inches. And I'm also going to score it from the top of the page down to that first score line. We're going to score 6 1/2. So only half of the page. Then I'm going to turn this whole thing upside down. So now I've got the two lines here. It's still 1/2 inch there. This one goes across. And I'm going to score this at 10 inches, just down to the first score line. All right. So do you see our score lines? I've drawn lines on this. I'll have to erase it later, but this way you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so we have the three parts here at the top. I'm going to turn this so it's facing me. So the part with the three pieces, I mean, they're all three, but not that small one, is facing to the right. And I'm going to cut right on that score line up to the center of the page, which is up to the score line going horizontally. I'm going to turn this way. So we've got this small piece. So here's the 6-inch line. That's the 6.5. We're going to cut right on that 6.5-inch line, right up to, we're going to cut that piece off entirely. Now, so I've got this is cut, but I want to miter that. So I'm going to go at an angle right up to the center of the page and cut that little piece off. And I'm going to match that at the bottom. Not going to do anything up here. This we're going to save. We'll need that later. And then I'm going to fold and burnish on the score lines. So I'm going to fold here and burnish there. I'll open that up. I'll take this little 1/2-inch tab and fold and burnish. And then I will fold and burnish. I'm going to turn this upside down and fold this again this way and burnish. Off camera, I'm going to erase those lines. All right, let's open it all up. So what I'm going to do is fold this in. So this will go towards the center or towards the left-hand side. And then I'm going to be gluing that down here. So I will take glue and put it on this 1/2-inch tab. And then I'll fold this back. And I will burnish, making sure the top and the sides are lined up. They should be. So what we're going to do is, now we'll have a page that's open at the top, but it will go into our hinge and we'll have a flap. We're going to do a couple of different things with this flap, but we have a flap. And honestly, it could go towards the front of the page or towards the back of the page. It could go in like that. You could do whatever you want with that. So we're going to do a second one just like that. We're going to score it at 6 all the way down, rotate it, score it at 6 all the way down, score at 6.5 up to that one line, turn it over, score it at 10 up to that line. Then we're going to cut this part right on the score line. And cut this piece off. Miter here, miter here, and then we'll fold and burnish on our score line. Oops. This is the one I was trying to get to. Okay, and then I'll add glue to this 1/2-inch tab. Fold it up. It looks like it's nice and even to the side and the top, so I'll burnish. Okay, so now let's get our pages. We don't need this piece. These pieces we'll just put aside. All right, so these pieces, it looks like there's a line there, and it's just when I folded it, that pencil line made a line. I don't want to see that pencil line, and I'll go ahead and erase that. And erase that too. Okay, so we've got 2 of these and 2 of these. We're going to take, this will be number 1, this will be number 2, this will be number 3, and this will be number 4. Now, let's grab our book, and this is dried enough that I can just play with this, make sure the pages will move back and forth, and then miter again, or miter, burnish again here, fold the book, do the same with this one. Okay, and then what I want to do is, so here's my pages, I'm turning these over, so I start at the back. So here is the page. This is the part that's open. This is easy because all we have to do is really slip this in and glue it, and now we have a pocket up here that will be closed because we've glued this. So 2 things. First, you always want to dry fit it and make sure it's going to fit. Second thing is, when we add glue, you're not going to take this and push it all the way down so it's resting on the hinge, the spine, sorry. You want to come and go about 1/8 of an inch away from this bottom, from where this score line is that moves this. Because if you were to go all the way to the bottom, it might hit every time you move it and sort of impede the movement of this. So you don't want to go all the way to the bottom. Now we're going to add glue, but we're not going to put glue all the way to the bottom. We're going to just add glue to the top half, and then by moving this, the glue will distribute nicely. So I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to zigzag just on the top half of the piece facing the back. And then, of course, I'm not going to push this down because I don't want the glue to hit, but I'll hold this and zigzag. So there's glue, whoops, on the top half of that. And then we're taking this part that's open, we're going to ignore this little flap, and we're going to sort of pull it up. Make sure that it is even and parallel to the bottom of the hinge. Make sure this is parallel to the bottom of the book. It can be off a little bit. You don't want it to be off by a lot. And when you open the page, make sure the other side is parallel too. And then once you like how it's looking, then burnish so that glue distributes, and there you've got a page in. I'm going to just burnish this so it stays, or actually we can just put this to the back so it stays out of my way. All right, now we're going to take one of the tube pages, and this is easy. It's going to go in. I say it's easy. Okay, so we're going to have the hinge coming up into the tube. Now, sometimes when you put in this piece that we put in at the top, you might put it in a little bit too much, and it's hard to put in, which you notice you have to put them both in evenly at the same time. But if you're having a problem with it, it doesn't go in easily, take your scissors and you're going to make a cut on an angle from about 1/4 of an inch from the top to halfway down the page, down the hinge. So this little piece that came off is just that big. It just will make it go in easier. Now let's try it. Like butter. Okay, so now we'll add glue. Zigzag on the top half. You don't ever want to make that little miter cut to go all the way down. I mean, if you do, it's probably no big deal. You won't see it. And we'll take this, put it in. Make sure it's lined up with the bottom of the last page. Make sure you have about 1/8 of an inch. Make sure it's good on the front and the back, and then burnish. All right, then we're going to do another one of the pages with our flap. So you guys are old hats at this now. Zigzag the top of the hinge. I like to start from the back and work towards the front. It just is easier for me. And then I go up from the bottom, move this till it's parallel, make sure it's even with the other pages. See what it looks like on the back side. That looks just as good as the front. So when I'm happy, I will burnish. And then same with this, dry fit it first. And then I don't care again whether or not you have the folded edge to the top or bottom, but I would say just be consistent. So my folded edge is on the bottom. So I will do the same with this one. I'll dry fit it first, make sure it fits. Now this one went in so much easier, so I'm not going to do my little cut on it. I'll add glue. And glue. You notice every once in a while I come off of the page. You can just clean that up. Especially if you're using this artisan cardstock that I'm using, it cleans up nicely. All right, slide it in. Make sure everything's lined up. We have nice lines, parallel. This one's a little further down. I have to adjust it. You have some time to move this. Not a lot of time, but you have some time. And then that's how we get the pages in the book. All right, so now we can do a couple of different things with this. We could make this a little pocket on the bottom and then just a flap. What I'm going to do with this is, or you could fold this here and you could glue the top and bottom, and now that's made into a pocket page there. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make the flap a little pocket on the back. So here's the page. I'm going to glue the top and bottom. So you could do two things. You could just take glue and a little glue here and then put it there, and then you're good. I would wait till you get the paper on, or you could take 2 inches by 1 inch, score it at the center, and add it on there, which is probably what I'm going to do. But I'm going to add features to the front and back of the book. We're going to do a waterfall on this one. We haven't done a waterfall yet, so we're going to do a waterfall on this book. So let's get started. Okay, to make the waterfall, we'll need 3 different size pieces. We'll need one piece that's 2.5 by 2, with the 2.5 side at the top of the scoreboard. I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch. Just put that aside. The 5 by 5.5 we're not going to do anything with right now. The 4.5 by 5 inch pieces, we're going to put 4.5 side at the top of the scoreboard and score down the 5 inch side at 1/2 inch. So we'll do that with all 3 pieces. And then let's fold and burnish on those score lines. I'm going to keep my scoreboard up because I'm going to use that in just a second. Alrighty. So I'm going to take my 5 by 5.5 inch piece. I'm going to put the 5.5 inch at the top. I'm not going to score it. I'm just using it as a surface to make sure everything is straight. So we'll take one of our 4.5 by 5, and I'm going to add glue to the top, and I'm going to put this right up against the top and the side. That'll help make sure it's straight. And we're going to burnish. We'll do the same with the next one. Add glue to that top tab. Pull this up. Make sure it's straight. And burnish. And we'll do the same with the next piece. Add glue. Put it right up against that last, the bottom of the tab, and burnish. All right, so we have a waterfall of just with 4 pages, it looks like, but there's room for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 photos if you wanted to. Now what we want to do is take our 2.5 by 2 inch piece, fold and burnish on our score line, of course. And this is going to be what holds the waterfall together so it doesn't flip-flop while we're opening the book. So you can eyeball it to center, or you can figure out where the center of this is and match that up with the center of the piece. But the big piece will be on the front, the smaller tab will be on the back. I'm going to open that up, add glue here, push that down, and burnish. So there is our waterfall. We're going to add a feature to the front inside cover. In our scraps, I have a piece that is 3 inches by 9. I'm going to cut that down to 3 by 8. So I'm just taking 1 inch off. Just because my machine doesn't go all the way, my cutting paper trimmer doesn't go all the way to 8, but I knew to take off 1 inch. So what I'm going to do is score it on 2 short sides and 1 long side at 1/2 inch. You could do it 2 ways. So when I say score on 2 short sides and 1 long side, you could score it half, rotate, score it half, rotate, score it half, and then you've got 2 short sides, 1 long side, or score it at half and score it at 7.5. Rotate and score it at 1/2 inch all the way down. So there are two different ways of doing that. Now we'll go ahead and grab scissors and we'll miter on the corners. So on the bottom, you'll see there is a line caused by our score line, and it intersects. We're going to cut right across where that intersects. We're going to cut on the score line right across. We'll do that with the other one on the bottom. Here at the top, I'm going to actually turn it over and go from the score line and just go about 1/4 inch down, and do it here too. From the score line, go 1/4 inch down. What that does is make it easy to fold and help sort of hide the paper a little bit. I'm going to erase my lines that I just drew. Okay, I will fold and burnish on the score lines. Okay, so now we have it's 7 inches by 2.5. We're going to take this, and this is going to go in the front of the book. So I'm going to add glue to this bottom tab, just the bottom tab. And I'm going to put that on the bottom, but make sure that you're not too close to where this page opens and closes. So I'm lining it up with the bottom, and then I'll burnish it here, and then I'll open it and burnish it here. Now I'm going to grab a piece of tape, like Scotch tape, and I'm going to try to cut off 6 or 7 inch piece. And I'm going to take this and put it right up against, or right on, about 1/8 inch up at the top. And the reason we're doing that is, I don't know what we're going to use to put inside here. We might have a piece of paper that is 4 inches, 5 inches, and it might not go all the way down. And that way, when you put something in the pocket, it won't get hung up on the edges of our paper. So that's just a little tip. Then I'll add glue to our tabs on the side, and we will put that up and glue it. Just burnish that pocket in, and we are good to go. So now we have a front pocket. We know we'll have a waterfall. Let's work on some features on the pages. First, let's work on this. So I decided I'm going to have side-loading pockets on both of these. We'll just make them the same. So I have a scrap of paper that's 2 inches. I'm going to get my scoreboard. And I'm going to, it's 2 by 6. I don't need it all, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, at 1.5, 2.5, and 3.5. So I have 4 score lines. And then I'm going to grab my paper trimmer, and I am going to cut these into 1 inch pieces with the 1/2 inch score line in the center. So I'll cut that 1 inch, that one, that one, and that one. I'm going to fold on all these score lines. And burnish, of course. And then I'm going to trim these all from the fold line up a little bit. I'm going to go in about 1/8 inch, just to make sure that this will fit without us seeing it. So I start at the fold line and go in about a 1/4 inch to the top where the top part is open. I didn't explain that, but that's what we're doing. And then I will open this, add glue to one of these, match the fold with the bottom, just center it on the page. Do that with another one. Match the fold now to the top, center it on that page. And then I'll add glue to these tabs and fold it. And burnish. So now it's a side loading pocket. Now, as I said, you could have just added glue here and here and then folded it down after you put on paper. To me, that's like a cheater pocket. There's nothing wrong with it. I've done them before, but I wanted to make full use of these pockets. So I didn't want it to, like if you put glue, you wouldn't be able to put, that's 1/2 inch that you can't use probably on the whole page. Just because all right, add glue, fold that down, and then there we go. Okay, now let's add some flaps. All right, I'm grabbing my scoreboard and I've cut some papers, and I've cut these because I looked at the paper and there are a couple of different things I wanted on paper. We're going to have to do some trimming because our pages are 6 inches. This, for instance, is 4 by 6, and I want this in the book, but I'm going to have to cut it down a little so then there's a border, an even border around it, and that's okay. So I like this, I like this, I like this, I love this. So there's a couple there, and then I liked a lot that was on the 3 by 4 page. And I also want to use my scraps so I don't have a lot left over. Now, if you're not worried about using scraps, you can just cut whatever you need. But I want one of those 4 by 6 cut aparts to go sideways and then have a flap on the other side. And then I want one to go up and down. So for the sideways one, I cut a piece of paper 4.5 by 6. I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch. I have a piece that's 3.5 by 6. I'm going to score that at 1/2 inch with the short sides at the top for both of these. Now this one also 4.5 by 6 with the 4.5 side at the top. I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. And this 3 by 6 with the 3-inch side at the top, score at 1/2 inch. I'm going to put those in a little bit. So now we've got those 3 by 4 cut aparts, and I have scraps that were 3 inches long. Again, I'm going to have to do some trimming on here because it's exactly 3 inches. So like this, I'll cut down 1/8 of an inch on each side. So it's a little bit smaller than that, but that's okay. So this is 3 by 4.5 with the 4.5 side at the top. I'm going to score it 1/2, and same with another one. And we're going to see where that gets us. Let me put these in. Let's start with the, oops, page 1. And I have this flap. We'll fold and burnish on the score line. And grab scissors and just miter here real quick. And burnish on the score line. Okay, so this one, I'm going to add glue to our 1/2 inch tab. And put that on the paper, not on the hinge, right next to, on the right hand side of the page. I need to get out my other bone folder. I put it away. I'll open that up, and then I'll have this other piece. And then this one I will add on to the right side of the page. We're going to put it on the page. Make sure you don't put it on the next page. I've done that. So this is sort of like a peekaboo page. You'll have this and you'll just see that, and then you'll open it up and you have more room to put photos. So that's page 1. I'm going to skip to page 3. No, I'm not. I'm going to skip to the front of page 4. And this time we've got it I'm going to put this at the top of the page. And this one will go at the bottom of the page. Making sure they line up nicely. Okay. And then we've got these two flaps. So what I wanted to do is do it here. There's nothing going on. So I should miter these. So we'll put that up at the top. I'm coming in about 1/4 of an inch from the left-hand side, right at the top. And we've got that. I don't want to do anything there. You know what? I'm going to hold off on this one. I will save it for later. In the meantime, I have one more piece that is 7 by 2.5. I'm going to make a pocket, so we'll score on the long side with the 2.5 side at the top, score at 1/2 inch, and with the 7-inch side at the top, score at 1/2 and 6.5. We need to miter. And then I will burnish on our score lines, of course. So we have that. I'm going to put this on the front of page 2, opposite what has the flap. And I'm making sure it goes to the outside of the page rather than right up against the spine. I'll add some tape just to make sure it, if I don't add something to go all the way in the pocket, it won't get hung up. And then we'll burnish. Okay, I think we have enough going on. All right. Again, we've got our waterfall here, but we can't put it on till we add the pages. So now I am going to cut paper. I'm going to make sure I know what I'm going to do in the front of the book, because these are 7 by 7, so I need bigger pieces here unless I layer, which I probably will, because then I can do 5 7/8 by 5 7/8 here, here, even here, 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 here and layer and put 5 7/8. I might just put a piece of plain cardstock there. So I'm going to cut all the papers for the book. I'll show you what it looks like before I glue everything in. All right, so I want to do a quick walkthrough of what this is going to look like with the base colors on. I'm still going to add other things to it. So my front cover, I had this My Colors cardstock. It is the Allspice. It's got a little bit of a texture to it, but that's okay. And so I've got that in the center. I did cut this just so I would still have some extra paper to use. I love how the center of this is that perfect color. And of course I'll add other things to it. You won't even see that. I had the My Colors cardstock in this color, which this is Daffodil. So that is on the inside. This is actually just a smaller piece, but that will go on the inside. So I'm glad I put the tape in that pocket, because now if you were to put something in, it won't get hung up. This was from a border. It came from the backside of this paper. On the bottom was a border strip. You can see the bunny rabbit. And so I just thought that was cute there. And then we have Little You. This is that same, I think this is the other part of the border strip. This is all right. I'm not nuts about it, but it's okay once we put other things on there. So I've got that cut apart. That's on the back. This coordinates. Wildflower coordinates here. So I went with sort of that dark blue theme. That's the polka dot. That's the stars. This is a journaling card, but of course that love you, I guess I could put it this way, but I don't like writing that sideways. So I'm just going to go like this. We'll put something else in the pocket so you won't notice we're only seeing a little bit of it. This just because I couldn't think of anything else to put there. This page, I like how this coordinates. At least I like how this is. So this was a journaling card or a cut apart, whatever you want to call it. And that I loved. And of course, this diagonal stripe looks real nice. And that's a lot of diagonal. And then I put this here. I haven't used it anywhere else. And so I put it there. I suppose I could do this here, but I'm not nuts about that either. So we'll just go with that, and that'll be fine. So here's the back page. So this to me is like the sleepy page when the baby's asleep. You want those pictures of the baby sleeping peacefully. So this was the inspiration piece, and then this went nicely with it. That coordinates, these coordinate, and then I will finish adding, I'm not sure what I'm going to put here. I think I have a little 2x2 journaling card like that. I mean, the rainbow doesn't really go with the love you to the moon. Maybe the lion sleeping. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Um, I'll figure it out. But anyhow, so that's what I have. Now, what I'm going to go do next is more of the details. So I'll take what's left over and I'll make something for the pockets. I will add photo mats here. So let me give you an example of a photo mat idea. So like the blue, because there's blue here, but of course that is really busy and it doesn't really go with the theme. But I still might want to use that. All I would need to do is cut a little bit of that off and put a white journaling card there. And now we only have a little bit of the pattern showing through, and you see the blue color. So I can use that. And then once we add other elements to the page, like that or the bear or whatever, I have a lot of ephemera to add to it, then you don't notice the pattern of this. So that is my next step, is to go through and fill in the details. Still haven't glued anything down. I will do that at some point in time. I still need to show you how to do magnets. So I will show you that next as well. All right, we're going to put a magnet on our waterfall. So I temporarily tacked this down. This is what's going to go on the front of my waterfall. This was from a 4x6 cut apart. I cut it down. You know, obviously some of the clouds are missing. None of that, but that'll fit on there. I just had to trim it down a little bit. So the magnet's going to go from here on to here. I didn't leave myself very much room, but it'll work. So magnets come in sets. Well, they don't come in sets, but you have to make the sets. There's a positive and a negative. And I'm just going to peel off the backing onto from the, I'm going to try to peel off the backing. I think that's the hardest part about this whole thing, is peeling off the backing. I'm going to try using my pokey tool. I don't know if that's going to work because that's magnetic too. But it did. And I'm going to put one magnet. Will that be enough? Yes. On the inside flap of the waterfall. And I'm going to leave those two together. I'll peel off the other backing and let them kiss, so to speak. And then there we go. We have a magnet on each side. I'll go ahead and put this on. Some people will take a piece of tape and tape the magnets in place. I'll do that if I'm in the middle of making an album and I put all the magnets on all the pages, but otherwise I don't do that. So this magnet is peeking out a little bit. Like I said, I didn't leave myself very much room. So I'm moving it up just a little bit. Now that'll still work. And then I'll put the paper on here. So this should be about a 2 by 2 inch piece. There's a little wiggle room. Put this on here. So there we go. So now that I've got the magnets all set, I'm going to glue this on. So you could just glue this all on, or we could make this a pocket, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add glue to the sides, and then I don't want it to get hung up on where the piece is from the flap, so I'm covering that. I'm going to sort of have it more low. I'm going to try to center it on the page, but it's going to be closer to the bottom of the page than the top. So I can so I can still add something as a pocket. All right, so there is that. I'm also going to need a magnet here. And what I thought I'd do here is I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to put it on some cardstock and fussy cut around it. We'll go up like this. I'm going to stay about a 1/16 of an inch away. Try to stay even. Okay, that's not terrible. And then there is another one that I'm going to put on the back, but I'm going to put a magnet on it. I guess I could put it on the inside, just so there's a little flap and it'd give me a little bit more room to put a magnet. So I will go ahead and glue this to the inside, and then I'll put a magnet on and have it be like that. Just add another little detail. All right, so I am ready to finish up all the details on this book. So what I've done is that brown paper was already there. I actually put this yellow flowered paper on white cardstock. I just wanted to set it apart. Now in the chipboard pieces was the verbiage little one, and I thought that would be adorable. And I like this little bookshelf. So they're going to share that space, and I don't care that they overextend. So I am going to peel off the backing. And I'm also going to apply glue because I don't trust that it's going to stay. I'm not going to apply glue to the top because that's going to extend over. So there we go with that. And I already peeled off that backing. You know what I really should do is add a little bit of this powder so nothing will stick to this because it's not going to. It's going to extend off the top. So we'll have it like that. And I'm probably going to add a couple more things. I'm going to go through and see what we have. So there is the front cover. All right, I have matted a bunch of cut apart. So there's this. I'll put some stickers on at the very end. This was one of the journaling cards, and I thought that would be important to put in the book, and that's the other side of it. Of course, that can go like that. This was just an extra cut apart, and this was a cut apart. I just liked how that looked. Again, I'll probably find a sticker to add to there. So there's that. Now this, so my idea on that, so this is like a shelf, and here's a chipboard piece. What I want to do is add this as a backing and then add this onto it. It says, "Hello world, I'm here." I thought that was just adorable. I'm actually peeling off a little bit of the cardboard just because I want it to stick. I mean, that's cute too, but you know, just wanted some dimension here. And then I'll add glue to this. Now I did round the two top corners of that. I did not round the bottom corners because it's sitting on the bookshelf in my mind. And I just made that just a little bit bigger than this "Hello world, I'm here," because otherwise it was not going to show. I'm hoping there is. I wanted a heart. Oh, do I want a blue one there and a pink one here? I really would rather red, but I'm just going to put that on for now, and I might revisit it. I just wanted an extra layer of dimension. We've got room, and what I mean by that is there's a 3/8 of an inch gap, so it's not going to be too chunky. Okay, so we have this. I may or may not add something to there. We've got the magnet. I've got this little piece, and then we've got this. So here is the photo mat. Here's a journaling card, and that's a journaling card as well. That can just sit in there. And I want something else to go on here. So I think the rabbit might be not enough of a contrast. I guess I could do the rainbow because although we have rainbows later on in the book, I don't want to have too many rainbows over there. So I'm going to put a rainbow here. And into camera. Yeah, I think that's it. And the camera. Now I might add something to the shelf later on, something else dimensional, but that's good for now. I'm not going to add anything to this page. I just sort of like it plain the way it is. All right, so we've got all that. We've got that. You know what else we have not done yet? Well, we'll get to it. Okay, so here we have, these don't belong there. Okay, little wildflower. There's nothing on there. I can put something there. This is a 4¼ by 4¼ piece. Now, I've got a flower theme going, and I've got these flower stickers, or they're not stickers, they're just, they were from this piece, the page pieces. So they were there. So I sort of like that, but I want something else here to tie that all together. I'd like to have something that's got these colors in it. Okay, that's all right. That will work. And is there anything else in the stickers? You know what I like about these stickers is they're a matte finish. They are not shiny. There is some flowers here. So do I want something different? Do I want this piece here? All right, let me put this over here. Does that stand out enough from over there? That's okay. You know what I need to do is add some. So this won't stick. So I'm going to add that to the corner. So that'll be a tuck spot. You can still add something in there. And I'm going to put in we will do a flower cluster here. So I'm going to do that. Whoops, we need some powder on it. Flower there. And flowers. Nope, I'm going to put a flower here. Flower there. Do we want this here? I just put glue on the bottom, so this could be a tuck spot as well. So there we go with that. Okay, this page is done. Now we've got this. I just put that there just as a decoration. I'm going to go ahead and glue it. It's a journaling spot. And then we've got this 4x4 cut apart and this 3x4 cut apart. We'll put that like that. And then we've got this. This is a journaling spot, but I just want to keep it as a sort of a base. So I'm going to glue this down. I love the loved and adored. I'm going to glue this down. And then I'm taking a 3D flower there. This mushroom. And the 3D flower. Okay, so there is that page. All right, so here, these two came with the journaling bits and pieces. I'm going to cut this down. So I'll put this one first, this one on top, and then I had a word that's sweet, and that's going to go on top of those. Just sort of pull it all together. And that's all I need to do on there. So here I have a journaling card. And then inside, well, I'm not nuts about this because they're not attached. So remember how I didn't like the pink flowers? Well, I covered most of it with the star paper and I'm peeling off some cardboard so it's not so thick because it's inside and inside a flap. So we'll put that just because it's the right color. We'll put that like that. You can still tuck something in there. Now, what do I have to tie these together? Oh, some stars. But I want stars. How about I love you? And I like this here just because of the colors. Okay, so we've got that. So this is a journaling spot. This is to put a photo on. Even if you cover most of this with a photo, that's okay. We've got that up there, a star to give you room to journal. And that says love you forever there. I'd like to have something that says something up here. I'm going to let that go for now. All right, here. So here's our rainbow page. So what this is that's a flip. So that's a drilling card. I don't have anything here. What I was going to do is make this a pocket, and this is a cheater pocket. I'm going to put glue on the short sides and the long side. And that'll go right here. And here I'm going to put the rainbow piece and a cloud behind it. And I would like to do I want another rainbow on top of that? Or one here? I'm going to leave that go for now. So over here, this was from the page pieces. I'm just going to glue it at the sides so you could still stick something in there. It just will break up this big busy pattern. Now I did corner around one side and glue that on the side and bottom, so that will make a nice tuck spot with these animals. Again, that breaks up the pattern. I just put, this was a cut apart. I didn't like the picture, so I just put it down, glued the white paper. This is 4x4, this is 4x4, and put this on the bottom. So do I want that there? Yes, I do. Because it's got the right colors, I will add some powder on the top so you can still make it a tuck spot, but that will go right there in the corner. And I wanted to say something. What do I wanted to say? You know what? I should have put this abacus. I'm still going to. Under there so it's peeking out a little bit. Just add some more color to it. And this is a teddy bear, sort of bracelet-y thing. I'm going to add that up on top of there. So there's 3. Okay, so that goes like that. That goes like that. We have this now. That'll stick in that pocket. And taking this flower piece and putting it up here just to add something to the top of that. All right, that's good for now. That's good for now. And then we will see what's here. All right, so over here, so I've got a couple of journaling cards. And then I already put this down. It's got a whiteboard you can't see. This is a journaling card, and it's got, of course, the moon and the stars. There's a journaling card. I could put this on top of that. I could do that and just add some dimension. But I need something over here. And this is all about nighttime, moon, that kind of thing. So do I want to put the stars? Or do I want stars here or here? You know what? Shine bright. There's a moon. We'll put the moon a little lower. And we'll put a star there. And a star there. And I think that's it. Oh, I still have a tuck spot for that. So that can go in there. Do I want that? Actually, that can go there for now. And the back. Okay, so I've glued this on and this on, and I've got this piece. I could do it that way, but obviously it's too short. So you know what I'll do? Same thing I did in my last book. Cut it in half. And then we'll put something in the middle. Oh, this was just a border strip. So that'll go right there at the end. This will go over here at this end. And we're going to put this lovely lion on the back. All right, so now you know what we need to do? Well, we have pocket pages, top loading pocket pages and side loading pocket pages. So let me get the measurements and we'll put that together. All right, I want to show you what we're doing for the hidden pocket. So here's one. The ones that go in from the side measure 6 by 5.5. So cut 2 out, one for this pocket, one for the next. And then since this is going across the 5.5 side, just cut some scrap paper to 5.25. And that will fit in there with a little bit sticking out. So here is the next one, making sure. So that'll fit in. So double check your measurements. And you might want it a little longer, a little shorter. I'm rounding all 4 corners and then rounding 2 corners and then adding glue. And we'll put that on the short side. And then I'll turn that over, round to these corners. These are cut 1 inch, by the way. 1 inch by 5.25. One thing I have not done in this book is inked up the edges. I do it for vintage looking papers, but this to me was not vintage looking, so I didn't feel the need. But you're welcome to do it if you want to. All right, so that one will go in here, which is nice because that matches. And then I've got this one. So you have to be careful on this because of the orientation. So we want to make sure we have the correct orientation when we put on the rainbows if you're going to do something with an orientation. Just happened to be what I had scraps of. So round all 4 corners, round the top 2 corners of this, and this one too. So this gives you extra spots for photos. And since these are a little bit bigger, you could probably put a full 4x6 photo on here. Make sure you adhere the bottom real well, because that's the part that's going to want to come up when you're putting it into the book. All right. So this one, whoops, this one will go here. And this one will go here. And so one last flip through. So this is what we have. I added a bunny here, so it added some extra dimension. And we have the little garland that was there. I would love to put a heart there, like a dimensional one, but I don't have any. Oh well, that's okay. I could put a star there, but that's okay. That's where we have the dimensional hearts. We have these 2 dimensional things. I already went through that. Doesn't that look nice with that there? We've got that. I don't think I added anything. This one, the There. I just wanted more of the rainbow to show. Yeah, I don't think I added anything anywhere else. Oh, maybe a star there. And then, of course, we finished the back. That is what I did for the spine. You know, I do have one more rainbow. I could put that right there. Or I say neither. And there we go. So hopefully you were able to follow along and you made this book or using different paper, but the way you do it is the same, just step at a time. And then the decorating was so much fun. We were able to do a lot of decorating, even though it's a very simple book. So that is what I have for you. I hope you like this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching and have a fabulous